All right. Thank you again for joining me on another edition of the Q&A podcast. I'm Jim Watkins, and the question comes up often. Did Donald Trump cut the knees of poor people around the world when his agencies went in and investigated fraud? The answer is he did not cut the knees. In fact, what he did do is he ended the corruption that had permeated throughout non-governmental organizations for over 40 years. And I want to explain why I say that, because I am a huge fan of the United States going to desperate places in the world and trying to make the place a better place to live for the people that live in these countries, whether they're Northeast African nations. And that's a lot of our money goes towards African countries that are just not doing well. Many of the reasons that these countries are not doing well is because their governments are not very good governments. And what ends up happening when you have these non governmental organizations going into a country, say Congo, or just pick your country, Nigeria, uh, Kenya, you're always going to have to pay off people to get things done. And this is part of the corruption pattern that we see in third world countries because it's almost like a default how humans operate when there's no morality and everybody gets bought off. And you see this in country after country. And we go in and we bring these organizations that have good intentions. And I want to show you, though, what has happened over the past, I don't know, 40 years maybe. I want you to take a look at this chart. This is a chart of CARE and USAID. Now, CARE started out as an independent organization, and to my knowledge, most of their funding is donor supported, which is a good thing. But in this case, we see that in 1960, CARE had a global operating budget, a congressional budget that was approved, which gave CARE $50 million in operating expenses. USAID that same year received $2.2 billion in funding, and that's how much it costs to run their organization. And you can see that from 1960 to 1980, watch what happens. The budget, this is the operating expense budget for CARE, jumps from $50 million to $180 million. That's a 300% increase. And you look over to the next column and you can see that in terms of billions of dollars, it looks like USAID was approved and they spent about 100% more, 2.2 billion in 1960 to 3.8 billion in 1980. And then we jump ahead to the year 2000, beginning of the millennium, and for some reason, the operating expenses of CARE jumped from 180 million to 448 million. Do the math. That's almost a 400% increase. What happened? Didn't the world get better? Weren't they improving the conditions of people's lives? Weren't the general qualities of life of all these people starting to increase after 40 years of getting this aid and getting these people to go into the countries and try to help these people? Okay, well, let's jump ahead another 20 years. CARE's operating expenses, $825 million in the year 2020. That means in less than 20 years, it has doubled its operating expenses. And look at the numbers for USAID, from 7.8 billion in 2020 to 22.3 billion dollars in operating expenses in 2020. That was just 4 years ago. So you start to see now that the pattern with these NGOs that more money keeps coming in from Congress, from donor support, but where is it going? Is it going to help the people that live in these shanty little towns, these desert villages that are strewn across Africa? These villages in sub-Saharan Africa where they don't have any fresh water. And it's sad and it's tragic what happens in Sudan and when we see the pictures. But it's the corruption, and money is the best corruptor in the world. And I don't think that these these organizations have been very accountable. They'll take the money. We don't really know where it's going. What we don't know is why does life continue to be so bad for these people? Isn't the help that we're giving improving their life? And if it is improving their lives, then can we see some evidence of it? That's all we're saying. If you want my money to go to a good cause, I want to know what you're doing. I want to know what you're doing for the people there, the schools. I want to see regular reports. It's just like any other business. You have to be held accountable, especially when this much money is coming, especially from taxpayers, to these organizations around the world that all have their hands out trying to improve the quality of life. Well, I want to see the evidence that it's working, because I think we're being taken advantage of, and I think we have been. And I think that the president's attitude has been that our money, number one, isn't doing the job. Number two, it's probably corrupting these countries so that they're never going to be enabled to chart their own course and chart their own destiny.